Today is a very sad day because I've now officially sold my 2019 Range Rover. But how much money have I lost during my 7-month ownership with this Range Rover? Specifically, how much have I spent on fuel, maintenance, road tax and servicing, but ultimately, how much has this car depreciated by in 7 months? Well, in today's video, we are going to find out the total amount that this car has cost me during my ownership. So without any further interruptions, let's get in the car, go for a drive and get on with today's video. So let's get into it. Why have I sold this Range Rover? Well, there's quite a few reasons, so let's talk about them. The first reason on why I'm selling this car is I don't tend to keep, the expensive cars for a very long time. I like to drive them, enjoy them, and then sell them so I don't lose too much money, because cars are a depreciating asset and I don't want to hold on to something if it's going to lose me a lot of money. Sometimes I get lucky. If I have a car for 6 months or so, I might be able to get out of it and not lose any money. But equally, there are cases with cars like these where there still is going to be a little bit of a drop because of things like insurance issues. Demand can fluctuate. So that's the first point. I don't want to lose a lot of money, so I'd rather get the car shifted whilst I haven't lost too much money. The second reason why I've sold this car should really be the first reason, but I may or may not have just ordered a brand new Land Rover. I'm not going to say what it is just yet. It's potentially coming in 2025. Well, it should be coming in 2025, but I want you guys to comment down below and guess what car you think I've ordered. I've got some cool ideas for it, and I've actually bought a private number plate that's kind of linked to the channel actually. So comment down below what you think the car is, and comment down below what you think the number plate might be as well. The third point of why I'm selling this car is I've had it now for 7 months. I've driven it approximately 6,000 miles. I've had plenty of use out of it. I've taken it abroad. I actually done a short road trip to Paris, which I do want to do again with another car and film it for you guys and do a bit of a challenge on the way there. So that's something which I would like to do as well, but I've had good use out of this car. 6,000 miles in 7 months, considering this isn't really my daily car, is quite a lot of mileage. So I've had my fun out of it, I've had my use out of it. We've got some great content with it on the channel, so I think this is the right time to let this one go. Now, don't get me wrong, I do want to replace this with something before my new car arrives. As I said, that is due to be sort of 2025, probably March, April time. So I would like to replace this with something in between. I'm toying with the idea of going for an L405 again, but maybe the pre-facelift model, so like a 2013 to 2017 car. But specifically, I would like to try the 4.4 SD V8 or the 5-litre petrol supercharged. Comment down below, guys. Let me know what you think I should replace this car with. It doesn't have to be of the same value, but I would like to replace this with something in the short term until my new car arrives. So if you've got any great ideas, preferably Land Rover, but if it's not, still something luxury, comment down below, guys, and let me know. So that's just a bit of a brief overview of why this car is being sold now. There isn't really a wrong time or a right time to sell your own personal car. However, for me, I feel this is the right time. We're coming up to the Christmas period, so if I don't sell this car now, the chances are I'll have to hang on to it into 2025. And to be honest, I got offered a fair price for this car, so right time, right place, the right offer, I decided to let this one go. So that's a brief background on why this car is going. Let me pull over and we'll get into how much this car has cost me over the 7 months I've owned it, because I did think it was going to be quite a cheap experience having this car. However, 7 months later, I can say we have still spent a fair bit of money owning this car. So let me pull over and we'll sit down and work out the exact cost on how much everything has cost me from owning this car to the point of selling it, and giving you guys that insight and the exact figure of what it costs. So let's just pull over now. So let's get into all of the costs involved from my ownership with this car. The things which I'm going to run through are your fuel, road tax, insurance, servicing and MOT, getting a Ghost Immobiliser fitted, and the actual depreciation I've had on this car. From that, we'll get a figure for the 7-month period. Then we can work it out as a monthly figure, as well as how much it's cost per mile to drive this car. So let's break all those costs down. So let's start with the fuel. I've driven this car exactly 5,761 miles, so just under 6k, not too bad for 7 months of ownership. And during my fuel test, I averaged 33.3 miles per gallon, so I'm using that as a guideline to work out the cost of fuel. Of course, there will be a slight variation, but based on when I did do the full tank, we're going to go by that miles per gallon to work out the fuel cost. And so basing it on a fuel cost of 139.9, averaging 33 miles per gallon and driving 5,761 miles, that's given us a total fuel cost of £1,110.30, which is as expected. It's a fuel cost. Every car needs fuel, so that is a cost that you'd have to pay regardless. But in this case, that's how much it's cost to run this specific car for that period. Now, road tax for this car is £190 for 12 months. So again, I've just divided it and worked it out on a monthly basis over the 7-month period. So for 7 months of road tax, effectively, it's cost £110.83. But if you were to do it over a yearly period, it's £190. Now, insurance. Insurance is something which varies for individuals. What I pay is different to what you're going to pay. Your age, your job, where you live, there are so many factors involved. So this is something which you have to just take with a pinch of salt. Now, for me to be insured on this car, it was £1,600 for the year. So over 7 months, if we work it out, it totals £933.33, which isn't too bad for a Range Rover. I know people who are paying well over £5,000 to insure these cars, but I think since this whole security update, there has been a slight change. But again, if you live in central London, it probably is still very expensive to insure one of these cars. But shop around, do some quotes, and definitely invest in some form of security, tracker, or Immobiliser if you're buying one of these cars. That may help when you're getting your insurance done, depending on your insurer. So £933.33 is what I've paid over 7 months to insure my Range Rover. Servicing and getting this car MOT'd, so I had to get it serviced once during that time, and I had to get it MOT'd. Now, obviously, I've done a video on getting this car serviced. If that is something you want to see, I'll put it in the description below and you can check that video out afterwards. But the total cost of doing an MOT and servicing this car was £388.70, which isn't too bad at all. It was a minor service and an MOT is an MOT, so I got quite lucky with the timing for which service this car needed. So not too bad. Now, the only other thing which I got done to the car, which I said is a must, is getting a ghost immobiliser fitted to this car. That cost me £500. Now, you can probably get it a little bit cheaper. There are places which may charge more, but I took it to a reputable place. I've known these guys for 15, 20 years. I bought my first amplifier from them when I was 15 years old. A lot of the same staff, same unit, they're in the same place, very trustworthy, and I can highly recommend them. And again, I'll put a little link in the description for them. They're not paying me, but genuinely nice guys. And if you want to see the video of the ghost getting fitted to this car, again, in the description below, check it out after this video. Now, the final cost involved in this car is quite a big one: depreciation. I have lost more than what I anticipated I'd lose on this car. A lot of factors for that. Markets change, we're coming up to the Christmas period, but also still some issues with these cars with insurance and, you know, just a lack of confidence in these models. And when I did advertise this car, I didn't get the response that I thought I would. So without me getting into the exact price I sold this car for, because I don't think it's fair, because another car dealer is buying this car off me. However, a lot of you will know what I paid for this car, so I'm going to tell you how much I've lost. The depreciation I have taken on this car is £3,500 during my 7-month ownership. Some of you might not think it's bad, some of you will think it's a lot of money. Considering I bought this at a time where I felt like this was the bottom of the market, I think losing £3,500 is still a lot of money to lose on a car. Considering when I bought this Range Rover, you saw how much these cars had depreciated by. So it was a good deal at the time. However, cars depreciate, you're going to lose money. Range Rover market has come down a little bit since then, but nothing too drastic. But £3,500 is still £3,500. So the total cost of owning this Range Rover for the 7-month period has cost me £6,543.16. Do you think it's a lot of money, or do you think I've got off lightly and that is not a bad figure? I'm somewhere in the middle with it. I wouldn't have liked to have spent that much. I think the depreciation is the bit which I thought I wouldn't lose so much. The price that this car would be sold for is similar to what I paid for it. However, time of the year, lack of demand, the offer I got was a fair offer, so I decided to sell it. Now, let's break that down into a monthly figure. £934.74 if we were to do it on a monthly basis. And if we take it one step further and base it on the miles I've driven this car, the total cost of driving this car per mile is £1.14. When you look at it like that, £1.14 per mile driven, It doesn't sound too cheap, does it? It actually sounds quite expensive if you think about it. Just driving to the shops, it all adds up. All these costs involved, it's all an expense. So I'm somewhere in the middle with the cost of this car during my ownership. I think the biggest thing for me is definitely that depreciation. The car in theory is worth there or thereabouts what I paid for it 7 months ago. However, the market dictates the price. If you're not getting the inquiries, if you're not getting those calls come through, then you do need to look at reducing the price of the car. Could I have taken the risk in holding the car a little bit longer to try and achieve maximum money? Yes, of course I could have done that. However, being in the car business, you know equally, especially in uncertain times, it can go the opposite way and you can lose more money on the car. So especially with the fact that I do want to sell the car now, I've got a new car coming next year, and I would also feel that I can replace this with something different in the meantime. Now was the right time for me to get out of this car, and the offer, it was a fair offer. A nice chap, local garage, potentially some deals to be done between him and I. Moving forward, business-wise, it's good, another relationship built. If it means I've sold the car a little bit cheaper, but I might make some money moving forward with some part exchange cars, it works both ways. So overall, I'm somewhere in the middle with how much this car has cost me, but I've enjoyed owning it. It's a fantastic car. I would highly recommend you guys owning one of these cars. Take it for a test drive and just see what you think, because value for money, fantastic car. But guys, again, I would love to know what you think I should replace this car with. Ideally, I love Land Rovers, so in the meantime, I would probably want to go for another Range Rover or Range Rover Sport maybe. But if you've got any ideas, specific engines or different car makes and models, comment down below, guys, and let me know what car you would like to see replace my 2019 L405 Range Rover. And on that note, guys, I'm going to end today's video here. Thank you so much again for watching. This is definitely not the end of Range Rovers on the channel, so if you're not subscribed to it, make sure you subscribe now, like the video if you've enjoyed it. But other than that, I'm going to see you next Sunday at 6 p.m. Take care, guys.